Whoever watches this film will die haunted by a terrifying ghost that escapes the screen to seek revenge. The movie begins by showing a cinema currently screening a horror film. Before its official release, the film crew gathers to watch it together. The movie within tells the story of a woman who kidnaps children and gouges out their eyes. Eventually, the villagers capture her and hang her to death. It is said that the spirit of the woman became vengeful and started haunting the villagers. While the crew is watching the movie, an assistant director steps out to meet the director sitting outside the theater. When the woman returns, everyone inside has mysteriously disappeared. Suddenly, she is haunted by a ghostly figure, and a loud scream echoes through the theater as she is killed by the ghost. The scene then shifts to a young man named Shine. Shine works at that same cinema along with his older brother, Yod. Both Shine and Yod are addicted to drugs. Because of their addiction, they fall deep into debt. To pay it off, the two decide to illegally copy an unreleased movie and sell it for a large amount of money. They plan to pirate the film the next day. After finishing his work, Shine goes to the locker room to get ready to go home. There, he meets his ex-girlfriend, Sam. Shine and Sam once lived together, but because of Shine's drug addiction, he heartlessly stole Sam's valuable belongings and pawned them to buy more drugs. At times, Shine even became violent toward her. One day, when Sam caught Shine stealing from her, their relationship ended. Since then, their relationship has been strained, and Sam refuses to speak to Shine whenever they meet at work. The next day, after the cinema closes, Shine and Yod begin copying a horror film titled Vengeance Spirit. Shine is in charge of copying the movie while Yod decides to watch it inside the theater. Yod also sets up his camera to secretly record the film. Exhausted, Shine falls asleep in the middle of the screening. When he wakes up, he panics after realizing the film is still playing. He goes to look for Yod inside the theater, but strangely, Yod is nowhere to be found. Shine only finds Yod's camera lying on the floor, the same one he used to record the movie. When Shine checks the footage, it shows Yod looking extremely terrified, as if something horrifying was approaching him. However, the terrifying figure doesn't appear in the recording. Moments later, one of Shine's friends arrives. Shine gives him some money and asks for help retrieving a pawned item, a watch that once belonged to Sam. After their breakup, Shine has felt deep regret for pawning Sam's belongings. He wishes to reconcile with her, but Sam refuses, still hurt by the abusive way Shine once treated her. That's why Shine decides to redeem Sam's watch, the one he had pawned before. He hopes that by returning the watch, Sam might forgive him and give their relationship another chance. Shine then goes home to look for Yod's whereabouts, but Yod isn't there. Instead, Shine finds footprints and drag marks leading toward the closet. When he checks inside, Yod is nowhere to be found. As Shine prepares to leave, he's suddenly confronted by two men who have come to collect his debt. The men angrily scold him for not paying what he and Yod owe. Later that night, Shine returns to the cinema alone to finish copying the movie. While working, he also watches the film inside the theater. He tries calling Yod's phone to find him, and suddenly he hears Yod's ringtone coming from inside the theater, but neither Yod nor his phone is anywhere in sight. When Shine looks closely at the screen, he is horrified to see Yod appearing inside the movie. In the film, Yod is already dead, his eyes brutally gouged out. Even stranger, the ringtone sound seems to be coming from within the movie itself. Shocked and terrified, Shine struggles to comprehend how a human could appear inside a film. As he prepares to leave the cinema, the vengeful ghost from the movie silently attaches itself to his back without him realizing it. When Shine arrives home, the ghost begins haunting him again. Because of these supernatural disturbances, Shine becomes unable to focus on his work. One day, while helping a coworker, Shine learns that Vengeance Spirit was actually based on a true story. He discovers this after reading the movie's promotional poster. Shine then replays the recording of Yod watching the movie inside the theater. Watching carefully, he notices the ghost sitting among the audience seats. He glances toward the theater's actual seats and sees the ghost sitting there as well. When he rushes inside to confront it, the ghost vanishes. Disturbed, Shine returns to the control room, where he finds Sam watching footage from his camera. Sam angrily confronts him for secretly recording an unreleased film. Shine then tells her that Vengeance Spirit is a cursed movie. He believes the ghost from the film has crossed into the real world and is now haunting anyone who watches it. He also tells Sam that Yod is dead and shows her the footage of Yod being terrorized by the ghost, but Sam refuses to believe him. While Shine is working later, the ghost attacks him again. Trying to escape, he becomes trapped inside an elevator. Fortunately, a technician and one of his co-workers notice and rescue him. When they find him, Shine is convulsing from severe shock. His co-worker quickly informs Sam about Shine's condition. Sam rushes to Shine's home to take care of him for the time being. Despite still hating him, she clearly still cares about his well-being. After some time, Shine regains consciousness. Sam, sitting by his side, tells him that she now believes his story about the ghost. While Shine was unconscious, Sam had looked up the real-life events that inspired Vengeance Spirit and discovered that they actually happened about 30 years ago in a rural village. The real name of the ghostly woman was Chaba, who used to kidnap children and gouge out their eyes. Long ago, Chaba lost her own child, which drove her insane. She began abducting children from the village, cruelly removing their eyes and treating them as if they were her own. Eventually, the villagers discovered her horrific acts, tracked her down, and hanged her alive. Although they believed she had died, her body was never found. Shine then comes up with an idea to find Chaba's remains and give her a proper burial so that her spirit will stop haunting him and everyone else. Once Shine fully recovers, Sam agrees to accompany him to Chaba's old house located in a remote village. When they arrive at the village, Shine and Sam begin searching for Chaba's body, but they can't find anything. Suddenly, a ceiling fan falls and almost hits Sam, but Shine quickly pushes her out of the way, saving her just in time. However, in doing so, Shine loses his balance and falls into the basement below. While he's down there, Sam suddenly appears and reaches out to pull his hand into the darkness. Fortunately, the real Sam, still upstairs, screams out his name, making Shine realize that the one grabbing him is actually the ghost. The real Sam, terrified for Shine's safety, searches for a way to get down to help him. Afterward, she takes Shine to the nearest hospital to have his condition checked. The doctor, curious, asks what they were doing in that old house. They explain that they were looking for Chaba's corpse. The doctor is shocked to hear this and tells them that Chaba is actually still alive. He then takes Shine and Sam to a psychiatric hospital, where Chaba has been receiving care. The doctor explains that years ago the villagers did hang Chaba, but the police arrived just in time to save her. Chaba was then committed to the psychiatric hospital, where she has lived ever since. Hearing this leaves Shine and Sam utterly confused. If Chaba is still alive, then who is the ghost haunting them from the movie? As they ponder this mystery, Shine notices a billboard showing a photo of the actress who played Chaba in Vengeance Spirit. Looking closer, Shine realizes that the ghost he saw looks exactly like the actress. Her name is Ingchan. Shine and Sam immediately head to the production company's office. The building is eerily quiet and covered in dust, as if it hasn't been visited in weeks. Inside, they start searching for information about what happened to Ingchan. In one of the rooms, Shine discovers raw behind-the-scenes footage from the movie's shoot. In a scene where Ingchan, playing Chaba, is supposed to be hanged, she keeps making mistakes, forcing the crew to repeat the take multiple times. The crew becomes frustrated and exhausted with her poor acting. Feeling guilty, Ingchan apologizes and insists on doing the scene one more time. But during that final take, the safety harness attached to her suddenly snaps, causing the rope to tighten around her neck for real. Ingchan desperately tries to signal for help, but the crew thinks she's just acting. By the time they realize what's happening, it's too late. Ingchan dies on set from asphyxiation. After her death, Ingchan's vengeful spirit begins haunting the crew. One by one, she drags them into the movie itself and kills them within it. This explains why the film crew mysteriously vanished when they watched the movie together. Ing-chan was the one who pulled them into the cursed film and murdered them inside it. She does this to take revenge on the crew who constantly yelled at her and humiliated her for her poor performance. Anyone who watches the scene of Ing-chan's death becomes her next victim. After discovering the truth, Shine rushes to the cinema, determined to destroy the film so that no one else falls victim to its curse. Before leaving, he warns Sam not to watch Vengeance Spirit during its premiere the next day. He doesn't want her to become Ing-chan's next victim. Before parting, Shine returns Sam's watch, the one he had pawned long ago. Sam tries to stop him, but Shine insists on ending the terror once and for all. When Shine arrives at the theater, he heads straight to the control room, but is intercepted by one of the men who came to collect his debt. Fortunately, a crowd of people exits the theater at that very moment, allowing Shine to slip away and reach the control room. Without hesitation, he sets the film on fire, hoping to prevent it from ever being shown. However, when Shine tries to leave, he's stopped again by the same debt collectors and realizes that he's trapped in a loop, reliving the same moment repeatedly. It becomes clear that Ing-chan's ghost won't allow him to destroy the cursed movie. The relentless haunting drives Shine into madness. Meanwhile, Sam has secretly followed him to the cinema. She enters the theater after seeing Shine go inside, but is horrified to discover that he is now inside the film itself. On screen, Shine finds the corpses of the entire film crew who were killed by Ing-chan's ghost. Then, Ing-chan appears before him, gouges out his eyes, and kills him instantly. Sam can only watch in shock and grief as Shine dies in a gruesome way. In the final scene, Vengeance Spirit has been officially released. Audiences across the cinema watch it eagerly, unaware of its deadly curse. As the viewers are engrossed in the movie, we see that Sam, too, has become one of Ing-chan's victims. It seems that after Shine's death, Sam tried to rescue him, but tragically she was killed by Ing-chan as well. On the screen, the audience watches the infamous death scene of Ing-chan, completely captivated, not realizing that by doing so, they have sealed their fate. As the movie ends, it becomes clear everyone who watches the scene of Ing-chan's death will be killed by her vengeful spirit. The story closes with the haunting certainty that the curse will continue.